Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Brendan from River Valley Transit. Brendan, how are you?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me on again.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Long time no see.
It's been a couple of months. Last time we were together, we were talking about Ninetown Transit.
That's right.
This time we're together, we're talking about the partnership of Ninetown Transit, which is now River Valley Transit.
You got it, yep.
When did that happen? So
that happened as of April 4th, so just a week or two ago.
Right.
It was a long time coming. The brands have officially merged, so Ninetown, Middletown merged all the way back July 1st, 2022. So it's been over 6 months, and so we finally actually settled on a name, settled on a new logo design. All that, it took a lot of time to do that, and we worked with consultants to make sure it was a good fit for everybody. And we were really excited to announce it and release it April 4th. So we've been very happy with that. And we had a big launch day at our garage. That's right, at our garage. And we unveiled a new bus, which is exciting, a new bus design. So we're very excited about that.
And I understand that why did you guys decide to merge with Middletown?
Sure, well, yeah, some good background on that. So we decided to merge for a variety of reasons. I mean, one of which is for simplicity's sake. Right now, there was two systems for one county, two systems that interacted together a lot. There were routes that went from Middletown to Madison, from Middletown to Old Saybrook, and so there were so many connections already, and so many of our riders were using Middletown and Ninetown Transit. Additionally, there's also efficiencies of scale, right? So now we have a larger workforce, a larger driver pool. So when you're in Ninetown, and let's say you have, I don't know, maybe 12 drivers and two are out sick, that's a big deal.
Right.
If you have, 30, 40 drivers and you can absorb some of that more. So that it's the same is true with vehicles.
Yeah.
If one goes down, it's less of a big deal, right? So when you're bigger, you can take some shocks more to the system a little better. So have more reliable service, be more resilient to any service changes as well. It's also going to allow us to hopefully pool the resources better too, so we can hopefully add new services or improve things in an easier fashion when we have a larger one source of funding instead of two separate sources of funding.
Right. So now, what exactly do you do for River Valley Transit?
Absolutely, yeah. So I work as a transit planner. So, but basically, it can take on a lot of different things depending on the day and the week. But basically, what I do is I look at the system how it is today, see how it can be improved. So I work to change the routes themselves, looking at potential changes to routes, looking at changes to stops, implementing bus shelters, bus stops, things like that. So anything transit related, I look at and try and improve the system. A lot of times our staff are so dedicated on working on the day-to-day things, making sure, putting out fires and making sure the buses are running smoothly. And so it's sort of my job to try and help push things forward that take a little more time, looking for grants, anything like that, and kind of sort of long-term solutions to hopefully improve the system in the future.
Absolutely.
So.
Now I understand that you guys had a public hearing.
Yes, we had 3 actually.
I know. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they were very well. So they were based on our proposed route and service changes. So these are all. I'll spend a little bit of time on this because it's important. Because one of the things we're looking to do right now is, we've had this merger, which is great, but all that's really happened for most people is just a name change. It's the same service, the same driver as it is now.
Right.
And so as part of this, I have what here to meet today, which is our transit study, which was conducted in 2021, coming out. And what this study basically outlined, we worked with RiverCog, the regional planning agency, and what we came up with was sort of a vision for the future for transit for the community.
Right.
Going forward into the future. And one of the things that came out of the study was the merger, which we've now done and we've officially done, which is exciting. But another thing that was coming out of the study were a series of route and service improvements to the system itself.
Okay.
And so these are often, we're not changing all the routes and removing them, it's more tweaking certain routes. Some routes have more changes than others. So we went to these public meetings to hear from folks about what their concerns were, what they liked, what they didn't like, because all these routes are just proposals, and so everything we've done so far has just been a proposal. So we're trying to get feedback from the community, hear what they like, what they don't like, so we'll take it back to a second pass at it and make sure the routes serve as many people as well as they can. And I could just say too, from the 3 public meetings we had one in Clinton, one in Middletown, and one online through Facebook Live. So we want to make sure there's a variety of opportunities for folks to comment. But one thing I'll say too is that it is not too late to comment because the public comment period is still open. And the best way to do that now is to go online at rivervalleytransit.org/service changes. If you also type in Ninetown, it'll take you to the same place. It's the same basic website.
It'll bounce over.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a big icon that says proposed route changes in the top right. You click that, you'll see all the information, you'll see all of the proposed routes, all the proposed changes, as well as an opportunity to provide an online feedback form where you can type in all your comments so you can see directly what you're saying. And I take all those comments and put them in a big spreadsheet so I'm keeping track of all the comments, and then we'll go through, look at all the comments, and then make our changes in the routes based on all those comments. So it's a very important thing. I recommend folks to do that if you haven't, to please visit that website at rivervalleytransit.org/service changes to see what's going to be changing potentially, have your input heard so we can hear you. One thing I'll say too is we've heard a lot of input on a couple of routes, and folks are not happy with some of our route changes, which is okay, because that's okay, because we were, some of these routes we were also not sure about. Some people like them, some people don't, but we've heard a lot of feedback on some of the routes, particularly Route 644 that goes from Middletown to Old Saybrook. But it's helpful to know that once we hear this feedback, we can likely change our proposals. So again, all this to say that this is not set in stone. So the more feedback we hear against or for something, let us know. If you like it, let us know. That way we can keep it in there. If you don't like it, let us know too, so we can maybe fix it. And
so you can take it out and tweak it as
exactly. And one thing I'll add on there too is we talk about the routes. We're also looking at some schedule changes to the system too. So in Middletown, as folks might not know, but how it operates in Middletown is there's a bus terminal where all the buses emanate from, all 7 of the routes. And so it's a good system because it operates every 50 minutes. So every 50 minutes it leaves. We're looking to have it leave every 60 minutes. The reason being is at 50 minutes, one, the schedule is kind of hard because it goes from 6 a.m., then it comes at 6:50, then 7:40. It's kind of hard to tell. It's not on the hour. And secondly, it's probably the most important thing, is that currently several of our routes have a hard time getting in 50 minutes. So some of these routes come in late, and they're constantly late. And if they're late, then it means that the rest of the buses can't transfer well because they all meet at the same time. So people can get from one bus to the next. It throws the entire system off. So that extra 10-minute cushion should, one, make sure our buses can get on time more. At a simpler schedule, so it'll leave at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., not these different times. It'll be nice clock face scheduling, and also give our drivers time for the bathroom. Grab a quick snack. That's drivers need time to check the bus, but also use the bathroom quickly in between. And if they're late, they can't do that. They're constantly going and going. It's not good for anybody.
No, absolutely. So, can we talk about some of the proposed route changes? Or
absolutely, let's do it. Really? Yeah, we can go through it if you like.
Well, let's go through it.
Well, it's all 12 of them. So maybe I'll sort of just talk about some of the overarching themes of some of these routes. We can definitely get in the nitty-gritty. Again, I recommend checking out that website I mentioned. Because that'll have all this information broken up. But I guess I'll start in Middletown and sort of give sort of a basic overview of what's going on there. So in Middletown, a lot of the routes today are loops, which means that they go one way and the service is only in one direction. So if I'm a rider, I can only catch the bus going one way. So that means, there's a big loop and comes back to the same point at the end. What we're proposing for a lot of these routes is keeping the same basic destination. So, it goes to the same areas it would normally go for the most part, except it would be in both directions of the street. So what that would mean is for the average rider, instead of having to jump on the bus really early to get to a location, you could just wait for it to come by. So a good example of this is the 584 route. This is a route that starts at the terminal, goes to the north end of Middletown, goes all the way up Newfield Street to Cromwell, where you get the shop, and the Stop and Shop, that kind of area in Cromwell. You might be familiar in Berlin Road, So that route today goes up, does a big loop through the north end, goes all the way up, and comes all the way back down to the Middletown terminal. But it goes a different way when it comes back. What we're proposing is having it going the same way up and down. That way, if I live in the north end and I want to get to the downtown terminal, for example, I want to get to Middletown. Today, I would have to wait, get on the bus, go all the way up to Cromwell, come all the way back down to get to the Middletown terminal. If the proposed change was implemented, all I have to do is wait for the bus to come back, hop on it, and it'll be a 5-minute ride.
There you go. Actually, you know what, Brendan? We're going to have the director in the studio, in the control room, show the route map. Emily?
Great. Excellent.
Show the route map, and maybe we can talk about it this way.
That'll provide some good context. So you can see
absolutely.
First of all, this is an exciting map here, because this is our map you can find in our new River Valley Transit brochures. So we have a bunch of fold-up maps on the buses in our terminal, and so this is a great map. It shows all the current routes today. So again, what I was talking about, the 584, that's the red route in Middletown. As you can see, it's kind of zoomed out, but you might be able to tell a little bit or get yourself familiar. So again, with that route, the ability to have service in both directions of the street is really important. And we call that bidirectional service. That bidirectional service is that change is implemented in a lot of these routes. So you'll see in the 583, the 582, the 581, we're all proposing bidirectional service in those routes to make it easier for folks to get on either side of the street. Something that people have been asking for a long time. Unfortunately, though, some of what that'll require to do in order to change the route, some portions of the route will no longer be directly served by that route. Which is why we want to hear from folks about how big a deal that would be, so we can gauge the benefit of improved, faster service versus potentially a little less coverage. So we're trying to see and get feedback on people. And again, it's not true for all the routes.
Right.
It's a very much a route by route basis. Some routes are changing basically nothing at all.
Right.
Some routes are having more significant changes. It just depends on what the current conditions are today and what was requested by. One thing I'll mention too is that all these changes that were in the book today that you'll see online if you go to that website.
Yep.
All these changes were based on this study that was done in 2021, 2020.
Okay.
And what we heard from folks was that we did a bunch of public feedback, got hundreds of responses, and we heard from riders about what they wanted to see. So once we took their feedback, we then, based on what they wanted to see, designed these routes to achieve that goal.
Really?
So for example, in the 644 route that we've heard a lot of pushback on, which is good, we want to hear that. One thing we heard back then, though, was that they wanted a faster service that was more on time. So what did we do? We built the route that would stay on Route 9 more than it would go into Haddam and Higginham. So the folks in there are upset because they're losing service, which we understand.
Right.
But the initial feedback we heard was to create a faster route, so we did. But now we're hearing that, what we're hearing so far is that the negative of losing that service to that community would be too much for the time savings. So it's an example of us hearing the feedback and saying, okay, we heard one thing, but now we're hearing a different thing. So that's why we're doing it again, because we could have just taken the feedback we heard and then ran with it years ago.
Right.
We wanted to do it again because now we're actually implementing it, so things are getting serious. Now we're actually making the changes soon, so we wanted to do it a second time. And one thing I'll say too is that I mentioned you can respond to us online to get your feedback to hear about the forms, but also I'll be doing route rides. I'll be at the Middletown Terminal, Old Saybrook Terminal.
Okay.
I'll be all over the place collecting feedback as well. So if you see me at a table, say hi, stop by, talk to me. We can definitely get you some feedback that way, and I can collect your feedback. So I'll be out on the hunt for it as well. So we're in public meetings. I'm on the hunt for the feedback, and obviously there's the online terminal, which has been great. We've got over 100 responses so far, so we're looking for more.
Really?
So it's a good start, but we definitely want more. We want to make sure we have a good set of responses from everybody. So we're very excited about this, and it's my big push for this next couple months. So.
How long could this all take?
So it's a good question. So what we're thinking of is probably by August to September is when the changes will actually be implemented.
Gotcha.
Probably for the next month or two, we'll be collecting feedback.
Right.
Once that stops, we'll then be designing the new routes based on that second round of feedback. So we'll make some of the changes that we've heard from. And then we will then we'll actually implement the routes. So then we'll actually talk to the drivers.
Yep.
They'll build the new routes, and then it'll start in August and September, likely. We're still figuring all that out based on the timing, but we're roughly late summer, early fall.
So it sounds to me like this is a pretty good program. It's the way everything's going to pan out.
I mean, we hope so. And my biggest thing as the transit planner, I want to make it as transparent as possible and try and get the best feedback we can.
Right.
And so that's why we tried to offer a bunch of different public meetings. That's why we're offering the online components. Why I'm physically going out and hunting down the feedback, going on the bus rides, because I want to. All we legally have to do is hold one meeting. But that's not good enough for us. We want to hold multiple meetings, have an online component, and actually boots on the ground, talk to people at tables, at bus stops, in the actual bus. So we can actually get good feedback. We could just, play it easy, but we want to actually spend the time, get good feedback. So, I can't guarantee all the routes will be what everybody wants, but I think most people will see an improvement. And I think that I can truly say this for a fact that people's input will certainly have a massive input on what we change and have our final route. I can tell you from what we've heard already, we're already making changes based on what we've heard. So keep it coming if you have any changes or any thoughts. One thing I'll say too is we definitely want to hear constructive criticism, but also if you like something about a route, let us know that too, so that we can make sure we have it in there too.
Right.
Obviously, we want to hear constructive criticism. That's great, but we also want to hear if you do like a route, let us know too.
Exactly.
So we've heard both positive and negative. We've heard a lot of both, but just keep it coming in both directions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was actually on Dial-A-Ride this morning, and I saw the new brochures that are in the buses.
Yep.
So actually, I believe we have one of those. So maybe we can pop that up and talk about the new brochure and exactly the information that is on that.
There we go.
So
there we go. Looking good.
Let's take a look. What do we got?
Absolutely. So this is sort of, folks might be familiar with a lot of this text. It's mostly taken from, with some changes, of course, for the new system. It's taken from our existing 9-town, Middletown area brochures.
Yeah.
So it gives you the information about fairs, gives you the information about all of our different services. You can learn more about it. It also has that fold-out map. So the map you saw earlier, that's also part of this fold-out map. So it's a little brochure. There's all the information, then it folds out to a bigger system map, so you can see it, hanging on your wall. Do whatever you want to do, carry it with you, so you can see sort of a larger map. Exactly. One thing I'll say too is that this is just a temporary solution. So this is sort of a new brochure. It's a system map. Also, to see the QR code on there, folks at home, that if you scan that, that'll direct you to our online website where you can see the schedule with the timing of the schedules. Right? So this does not have the actual schedules for each route.
No.
If you use the QR code, it will get you there online.
Gotcha.
We will be making a new big brochure with all the schedules soon. We just want to do it after the new route changes come to place.
Yeah, because you don't want to do it twice.
Exactly. We don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars printing,
thousands of dollars later.
Printing, and then have to do it 6 months later.
No.
So this is a short-term solution for the next 6 months. It sort of introduces the brand, gives you basic information, and gives you the ability to check out the schedules online. Right. The paper versions will be coming out soon. They'll be nice and big. They'll have all the routes and all that coming out soon. So just stay tuned for that.
One thing you just mentioned, the last time we were together, we haven't mentioned fairs. Because last time we were here, the world was still free. The world was still free. That's not anymore.
Pivot to that, yes. So the state of Connecticut has ended the fare-free program. Right. So the state has decided to put that to an end. They were sort of hamstrung to a degree because the federal FTA, Federal Transportation Authority, they only allow a 1-year pilot for statewide fare-free.
Oh, do they?
And so it would require additional follow-up for that to happen. So for the time being, it's just come to a close. So we are collecting a fare again.
Okay, I believe
that's the second slide. Yes, exactly. Yes, you can see. So you can see all our fares there as well, which is excellent. I'll talk about some other things in a little bit too, but I'll just finish up the thought with the fare free. So one thing I'll say about the fare free is that it was a great opportunity for us, one, to help rebound ridership. Coming out of COVID, we saw that our ridership was definitely improving and getting better. But the free fare with gasoline on the fire, it really brought our ridership numbers right back up and even slightly above where they were pre-pandemic, pre-2019, which is excellent. So what it did was it got riders back using the system, got them familiar with it again, and hopefully made some new folks try it too. So we're very excited about it. I know that this year will be used to analyze a lot of data to see what happened, but so it has come to an end, but it was good while it lasted, and so we are charging a fare again. Okay. And so it's for folks who don't know, it's a base fare is $1.75 for the typical routes. We also offer a 50% discount for folks with disabilities and seniors over 65. There's a card you can apply for and get it, Reduced Fare ID program. That's a great program for folks. You can look at online if you type in CT Reduced Fare ID. There's an application process. It's pretty easy though. You can get the card pretty easily. And a lot of folks are getting it now that the fares come back. So we definitely recommend folks who apply to get that. We also have the extra mile and dial ride is also the extra mile is $1.75 as well.
Yep.
So that's $1.75. Right. Yep. Right. As well as an ADA paratransit is also $3.50 as it always is. So that's also $3.50.
Okay. I believe we actually have the pictures of the passes.
Great. Excellent.
Guys are in the control room if we can.
Perfect. There we go. So this is an example of our 10 ride tickets. So this is a nice opportunity for folks who want to buy in bulk per se, who are frequent users who just need one ticket here and there. That's pretty exciting. So we have the 10 ride ticket in the middle. That's the green one. That's your standard, fixed route bus, the big bus. Yeah. That's that one in there. The blue one to the right is the senior disabled ticket. So that's one that's half off. So it costs about half as much as the 10 ride ticket, and that's again for folks with seniors and disabilities. And then finally we have the yellow one to the left, and that's the ADA/dial ride, and that is for folks who qualify for ADA or use the dial ride. That's the curb-to-curb shuttle bus that picks you up and drops you off. So it's a little more of a customized service. Right. And so that's right there as well. So that's our new designs. Nothing too crazy for designs, but you can see our new logo on there, and it's a punch. One thing I'll mention too, now that we have the fares up and talking about, when we last talked, we were talking about our fare proposals and changes. Well, I'm happy to say, based on the public meetings we did and also all we did a bunch of surveys and route rides. The same thing we're doing for the current route change feedback for the fares. We collected over 200 responses from that. We heard from folks. And luckily, people were very supportive of our changes, and so they've been officially approved by the board, our board of directors, so that those will be taking place soon. Some of them have been implemented immediately. A lot of the other ones will take a little while to actually implement. A great example of that is, one thing that I'm really excited that happened is we I don't want to say passed, but the board approved a 50% low income and student discount. So that's very exciting. So so right now the discount only applies to folks with seniors and disabilities. So we knew that one thing that was important to us is we knew that fare free was probably going to be ending soon.
Yeah.
We also know that affordability is key for many of our riders who depend on this transportation for their only transportation. And so we wanted to make sure those in most need we weren't putting on too much financial burden on them. So we're going to be implementing soon a low income and student discount.
Okay.
Why it is implemented today is because we have to talk to various government agencies to figure out what's the best ID card for that, what's the best way we're going to do, because we want to be respectful about it. We don't want to be, first of all, we don't want to be determining low income status. Right. We want another state agency who specializes in that to determine that.
Exactly.
So what we're thinking is maybe it's a Medicare card, maybe it's a SNAP card, something that can be quick and discreet, so that way we're not, we want to make sure people's privacy is respected. We want to be respectful to people and make sure that it's a good process for everybody. So we're definitely excited about that for sure.
Absolutely.
So that'll be coming down a little ways in the line. There are also any of the other changes you saw that I talked about. Those will also be implemented. A lot of those need new technology that we're currently in the process of getting. So they're coming. Those changes are coming. There's a little bit there. It's on the dock. It's coming down the line. So those will be exciting once those hit as well. So
you guys are very busy.
We're not even done yet, Pete. We're not even done yet. I got a lot more to talk about. So,
I know.
Yep.
One thing we want to talk about is, let's talk about token transit and how that works.
Let's do it. Yep. Actually, if you don't mind going to the previous image, if that's okay. Actually, there's a link to a token transit right there, so you can get a look at it.
Take a look at that previous image.
But also, there we go. So you can see the TT in the middle.
Yep.
So on our new brochures, we actually have a direct link to token transit. So you can see that QR code beneath it. That will take you right to the token transit app, which is exciting. And so what is token transit? So token transit is an online way for you to pay for your transit passes.
Okay.
So how it works is you download the app, and then you can attach a credit card, a debit card, whatever you want to it. It's a way to make sure if you don't have cash, you can still pay and get on.
Right.
And so how it works is when you actually, let's say you buy a pass, it's for a fixed route.
Right.
What you do is it'll be in a ticket wallet.
Yep.
So when you go to the bus, to get on the bus, you show the bus driver. If you click on the ticket, you'll hit activate. And then you can show the bus driver, and they see, okay, he has a live ticket, so I'll let him in, because I know he's bought a ticket, so it's good.
Yeah.
And so what will happen is that ticket, once you activate it, will only be good for about 30 minutes. This is to prevent, because if you could buy one ticket and you'd have an unlimited pass, that would be a bad idea.
No.
So how it works is, for 30 minutes it's active, so you can show the bus driver. If you have a transfer, that works too, you can show it. Yep. So it's a way to just, buy. One thing I will say if you buy the tickets, the token transit passes, they'll stay in your virtual wallet forever. So they don't go away.
Right.
It's just once you activate it, then it'll go away.
Right.
So you can hold on to them for a while until you need them. They don't go away or anything like that. But when you do need them, you just hit activate, show it to the bus driver, they'll let you in, and it's all good. And so we've seen it actually slowly. It definitely has increased slowly over time. It's still, most people still use cash or anything like that, or the paper tickets. But slowly but surely, it is actually gaining popularity, which is exciting. And it's easy for us because it's paperless. It's contact free. You just show them and you get on. It can be pretty quick. So we're definitely pushing that out. That's why we include it on our brochure, because we want folks to use that more if they can, or if they like it. It's another option to pay.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Like credit card, debit card. If you prefer those two versus cash, we know some folks don't carry much cash anymore. So
right.
We'll still, of course, take cash. We'll always take cash. But
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I figured that one out on Extra Mile the other day. I'm like,
very good.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a bit of a learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, it's nice. Yep.
No.
Yep.
Absolutely. And everything seems very streamlined, very easy to use.
Good. Okay. Glad to hear that.
As far as feedback goes, everything's
good.
And all of your drivers are always friendly.
That's what I like to hear. That's awesome.
Everybody is, but for me in the morning, it's a guessing game of who I'm going to see. Sometimes I never see the same driver twice within the same week. Sometimes I see.
Most of the time, right?
It depends on the day. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, they work very hard, and
absolutely.
We're lucky to have them, because it can be a tough gig. I'm sure, as I'm sure you can understand.
Oh, absolutely.
When it gets busy, we have some folks who also, don't treat your drivers very well. So I'll always put a plug in every day. I did it last time. I'll say too, just please be nice to the drivers. They have a hard job, and I would also ask, even if you're having a bad day, please just be civil and respectful.
Be nice to the driver, please.
Exactly. That's all we're asking.
That's it.
That's all we're asking.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
I'd love to.
All right, we'll be right back.
Attending a local home show or garden expo can provide a one-stop opportunity to gather ideas and meet with potential contractors. Better Business Bureau reminds consumers of the importance of doing their homework before making a financial and contractual commitment. Always be sure that the company you decide to work with has the necessary licenses and insurance to work in Connecticut. Develop a list of questions ahead of time for potential contractors. Consider creating a separate email address for show correspondence. And before signing up for drawings, contests, or services, find out how your contact information will be used. Now, do not feel pressured to buy expensive items or services right away, as returns and refunds can be challenging. Save receipts and other paperwork. Pay for expensive merchandise with credit cards and monitor for unauthorized charges. BBB recommends limiting a deposit to no more than 1/3 of the total cost of the project and then setting up a schedule of payments based on the job's overall progress. Get all details of the project in writing in the form of a contract and request a receipt. Check for discounts and coupons being offered and research vendors at bbb.org.
Smart TVs and streaming services have taken over the television industry. VSC TV is proud to announce our presence on Apple TV and Roku to make watching your favorite shows even easier. You can access this service by downloading the Cablecast ScreenWeave app. Then choose Valley Shore Community TV from the list of channels. Select VSC TV Live to watch our channel in full HD. Or pick a show from our on-demand video library. VSC TV is your local Connecticut Mid-Shore Valley digital connection.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Brendan from River Valley Transit. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for sticking around.
Of course.
So, Brandon, open up to this segment. Let's talk about the statewide microtransit grant program.
Absolutely, I can talk about that. So, this is related to Extra Mile. So, folks who haven't used Extra Mile before,
right?
I know you use it frequently, or occasionally. It's good. Yep. So, Extra Mile is our on-demand service. So, we have how it operates. I'll take a second to talk about it a little bit. So,
sure.
It's a point-to-point service. So, it's on demand. So, you can request a ride whenever you want. And then, as soon as possible, a driver will come to your location and drop you off where you requested to be dropped off. It operates very similar to an Uber or Lyft. If you ever used a ride-sharing service, where through an app or through a phone, you can. So, an Uber, you can just use the app. You can use the app, or you can call us. Either way will work fine.
Okay.
And then we will schedule your ride. It'll order it automatically in the app. And so we have a zone right now in Old Saybrook and portions of Westbrook and Essex here in the shoreline. So in this little area, you can actually go anywhere, get picked up and dropped off anywhere in the entire area,
right? As
long as it's safe for drivers to do so. It's a pretty great service. It sounds great because it is great.
It is
because it's so if you're at the Old Saybrook train station, you need to get to the you want to get to Essex Center. You can just picked up here and dropped off there. So it's a great service. We usually have 2 vehicles running the service at one time, so oftentimes their wait times are pretty good. They can get high depending if there's too much demand at one time, but for the most part, they're pretty good wait times. You're looking at usually under 15 minutes, sometimes more, but usually under 15, which is good. And a lot of people use it to get to the grocery store, get to go shopping, go to medical centers. So it's another service that for folks who are in the Old Saybrook area and Westbrook and Essex definitely use it a lot. And I gotta say, we started in 2018, 2019, and it's grown very rapidly. Now we do over about 100 passengers a day sometimes, which is a lot. And I'll just say, for reference, those numbers are very high even in other parts of the state that are more dense. So our folks here definitely like it a lot. So we're very excited about that. And one thing that we did recently too is we actually added a new Extra Mile zone, sort of a pilot, a test run in Middletown. So we did one in Middletown. This one's a little different. So in Old Saybrook and Westbrook, you have a general zone. You can pick up anywhere in that zone. In Middletown, because there's so much more dense and there's so many more people, we did a stop-based system. So there are about 18 stops throughout. It's mostly in the center of Middletown, so it's like the downtown, the Wesleyan campus, the Washington Street shops, your Big Lots, your Aldi's, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so everybody can request a ride at these certain stops, get picked up at that stop, and drop it off at another stop. And we've seen like the same thing Old Saybrook, it immediately took off.
Yeah.
And then at peak times we were going over some days we had over 150 passengers for one driver. So they were constantly busy. Yeah, on the weekends it gets very busy in Middletown. It's pretty consistent in Old Saybrook, but in Middletown, the weekdays are fine, but in the weekends it shoots right up. A lot of students use the service.
Right.
And so they use it to go shopping or go downtown, which is great. So they use the service a lot. And but that's still a pilot project, and so that funding isn't secure.
Right.
Luckily here in the shoreline, the Old Saybrook zone in Westbrook and Essex, that zone there is secure. It's part of our normal funding. It'll be there next year, right? We know it's steady. The Middletown pilot is very much in the air of where the funding's coming from. So we used some ARPA funds, some American Rescue Plan Act funds, which are one time.
Oh, sure.
We used some of that to run a pilot project, and in 3 months that we ran the pilot project, we had over 4,133 passengers use the system.
Right.
Which is actually that's very good numbers for reference.
Yeah.
And so we're very excited about that. We think it's a good proof of concept. Lucky for us, the state is also interested in microtransit. So I should mention too, the Extra Mile, the on-demand service, that's another name for our microtransit service. So microtransit is basically the on-demand service that Extra Mile is. So just take microtransit, Extra Mile. That's the connection there.
Same thing.
Exactly. And so the state of Connecticut is also interested in this service. They've seen good results from it. And so they've put out I think it's a $10 million grant over 2 years for the entire system. So now we're not going to get all that money, but we're applying for it, and hopefully we can get some of that funding to introduce new Extra Mile zones in our county. So right now, one of our main goals would be secure funding for the Middletown zone. Because we know it's worked. We have the ridership numbers, we've heard good feedback, but some of the feedback we've heard is that, it needs better hours, it needs another driver. Hopefully this funding will allow us to have a full service that will really do well.
Right.
One thing too we're looking at too is actually adding new zones. So we're talking with the town of Madison, the town of Guilford to actually create a zone down there, sort of through either it encompass both towns or it encompass the I-95 sort of corridor down there by the Boston Post Road. So a lot of the major destinations, as you can imagine, the malls and shopping centers and medical centers and apartments. So that's a zone we're very excited about. And we also have another zone we're proposing, which is in East Hampton. So it's more of a rural zone. Why we're doing this too is in the state's grant program in the application, what they ask for is they want to see microtransit in an urban setting, they want to see it in a suburban setting, they want to see it in a rural setting. Well, we're well positioned that we have all three. We have Middletown, we have for urban, we have East Hampton for rural, and we have Madison and Guilford for suburban, and same with Old Saybrook as well. So we have a good mix of urban, suburban, and rural to show that, because the state wants to see how all these programs work in different settings. And so we can show them that in our region. So we're excited about that. The zone in East Hampton would be a smaller zone, but it would be targeted in sort of the Belltown area. So, near the Stop and Shop and the town apartments and sort of the lake area. So it'd be sort of around there for folks who know East Hampton. So we're very excited about that. And each zone would have its own criteria, but we think it'll be great service, and everywhere we brought it, people have liked it. So we think people will continue to like it. We think it's a very premium service. We take you from one door to the next door, curb to curb. So for a lot of folks, it's a very useful service.
Now, as far as the Extra Mile zone down here on the shoreline, just to get the word out, you guys only go to a certain point in Westbrook.
Yes, and same with Essex. Okay. So if you look at Estuary Transit or River Valley Transit, either one.
You did it.
Well, here's the thing. We actually still are. So legally, our name is actually still Estuary Transit District.
Okay.
But our sort of public name is River Valley Transit. So then you're behind the curtain.
But yes, everything.
Either way, Estuary, 9, 10, it'll all get you back to River Valley Transit. We have so many names right now. We'll have one soon enough.
Yeah, there you go.
But once you go on that website, you can actually look up. There's an Extra Mile page, and so you can see more information. And on that information, it shows you a map. So if you can look up that map, and so you can see exactly where we're talking about and sort of where the zone is. It also has a map of the Middletown area as well, so you can see what we're talking about in a little more detail. But one thing I'll say about the Old Saybrook zone is that it encompasses every single point of Old Saybrook, and then only portions of Westbrook and Essex. So it hits Essex Center, hits Westbrook Center. It doesn't go all the way out. So one of the things with microtransit is it's a push and pull. The bigger the zone, the more vehicles you need, or the higher the wait time goes up.
Yeah.
So it's a push and pull. We want to make sure we cover a lot of area, but if we make it too big, then what happens is the wait times go 30, 40, 50 minutes, and then it becomes not really on demand. It becomes it becomes something else.
Exactly.
People get angry and they cancel the ride. So it's all about finding that sweet spot between hitting the most amount of places you can while also trying to keep it below 15 minutes, maybe 20 if you have to, wait time. So that's sort of the challenge we have. And the more drivers you have, the easier it is to do that. And so
absolutely,
we're doing the best with what we can. So,
so with the merger of Ninetown and River Valley,
yes,
how many drivers do you guys have?
Good question. I believe roughly.
I don't want to exact.
I might not on hand, but I think we're probably around 30 or 40, maybe 50, somewhere 30 to 50, somewhere like that.
Right.
I'm not going to know the exact number.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And we know we have folks who are full-time, folks who are part-time, folks who sort of take rides as needed. So it's a wide range of folks.
Right.
And so it's I know we have 40 vehicles in total. It's our entire fleet roughly. So but we about 30 to 50, I'd say, somewhere in there.
And I believe we have a photo of what one of the new buses will look like.
Oh, we do, actually, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if we have it up here. If not, I can show it. I have a paper photo as well.
I was going to say, can we
let's pull it out.
I'm going to say, let's
pull it out. So I apologize.
Let's pull your photo.
Zoom in here or something, but it's a nice picture.
It is.
So it's very. There we go. Perfect. So it's very similar to our. Ninetown folks might recognize the color scheme a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a little different. It's a little hard to tell here, but it's a sort of a color gradation between a dark green, a lighter green, and then the light blue, dark blue, and has the River Valley Transit, and then our full color logo is on the back there, right over there. So we definitely like it a lot. It was when we revealed the people were excited about it.
Yeah.
And you'll see these around. Also, this will be this is the shuttle bus, but we also have the same sort of style for the bigger buses too. So you'll see that coming around as well. So
that's what Extra Mile is going to look like.
Extra Mile will be one of these buses, exactly. Okay. So we're very excited about that. Yep. So if you see that, so one thing I'll say too, public service announcement. If you for the next couple of months, you might see 3 different buses. You might see the Ninetown bus, you might see the Middletown area bus, and you might see the River Valley Transit bus. Eventually, all you'll see is River Valley Transit.
Right.
But that'll take some time. As me and Pete were talking before the show, it takes a long time to get these things wrapped and done, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, just to do this one took, I think, almost a week. So this is one, we have 40 vehicles. So imagine the time it's going to take to do all of them, right? So, especially a big bus.
Yeah.
And so I'll just caution folks to say that it will take some time to actually get these done. But you will slowly start to see it mixed in, and you'll see, like I said, MAT, Ninetown, but eventually it will be River Valley Transit only. One thing I'll mention too is some of our really old vehicles, ones that have on their last legs and are kind of limping towards the finish line here.
Yes.
We're not going to bother and spend thousands of dollars to make it look pretty if they're going to die in 6 months, right?
Exactly.
So you might see that for a while too, but eventually they'll all be rewrapped. The ones that are going to be here for the long haul will be rewrapped with this new branding and everything. So we want to make sure we're not wasting money and putting it on a vehicle that's about to die.
And what you just said about the different types of buses you're going to see, the Ninetown buses, the Middletown area transit buses. One of the other day, last week at work, they picked me up to bring me home.
Yeah.
And it was a Middletown bus. And
what's it doing down here?
It just it threw me off. I'm like, what's this doing down here?
That's right. We are one system now. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I know that, and we try and keep the vehicles to where their previous regions were, but if we're short a vehicle, we're going to send you down a Middletown. We'd rather send you a Middletown vehicle than no vehicle at all.
Exactly.
Right? So it's one of those things that for sure.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
but eventually it'll be one vehicle for everything. So
exactly. And by the way, before we forget,
yes,
I also want to mention we talked about during the first segment how nice your drivers were.
Oh, good. Yep.
I also want to mention how nice your dispatchers are when you call in. And
glad to hear that too.
I had an issue with the EcoLane app the other day, and I called in and talked to Samantha, and she was like, "Yeah, what you got to do is this, and this." So I did that.
Yeah, right.
It was all fixed. I'm like,
that's what I'd like to hear.
I basically had to just uninstall and reinstall the app, and then I guess there was a hiccup in the system where I couldn't get on. It's like.
Yep.
It showed me it was loading, but then it would like buffer and take forever. I'm like, and I'm just gonna. So I called and I'm like, can we? She's like, uninstall and reinstall the app. If there's an issue, call us back. Let us know.
Nice. Okay.
And you can take I was doing Extra Mile. And
and it solved it.
It solved it. Good. She was like, if you need to call in, I'm like, you can call in and make it. We can talk about that. You can call in and make an Extra Mile reservation.
Yeah.
You don't need
the
app.
So you can use the app. So the app is called Translock. That's the app we have right now. We're actually going to be switching software providers to a new software provider most likely. So the reason being, we had some issues with the app. It was showing inaccurate ETAs, so it might tell you it's 5 minutes away, but really it's 10 minutes away. And people got frustrated with that. A couple of issues. I won't go too much into that, but we're going to have an upgrade. Needless to say, it'll have to be an upgrade for sure. So we're very excited about that. We have a new provider coming in soon. And so one of the things you can do is, we prefer through the app because it's easy. If you can use the app, we prefer the app because, that way we can leave the dispatch lines open for other things. But you absolutely can feel free to make a call.
Right.
We can set up a ride that way as well. So when you call us and you want to make an extra mile ride, we jot down all the information, so somebody in dispatch will be on a computer, and they'll say, okay, they're currently at the Estuary train station, great, they'll type it in, and they want to get to the Stop and Shop, and they'll type that in, and then they'll book the ride for them, and then they'll go and dispatch them out that way. So that is definitely an option too.
Absolutely.
Again, but if it's all possible, we recommend folks use the app. I think it's easier to once you get the hang of it, but we know some folks don't have a smartphone, some folks don't want to learn a smartphone, that's okay too.
Exactly.
Call us too, that works too.
Exactly.
Happy to do either.
Absolutely. And the other thing we can mention is if you are on, like if you're, let's say for example, if you're at Stop and Shop in Old Saybrook and Extra Mile just happens to show up and drop somebody off.
Right.
You can get on.
You can hop on
as a walk-on.
You can, yes.
Which I didn't know.
Yes, it's sort of something we don't advertise very well, but we want to advertise because it's one of those things that you might think, oh, I didn't book it, so I can't get. No, you can get it. It's a public bus. And one thing I want to highlight too is what we want with Extra Mile is we want Extra Mile to be a true ride-sharing service. We want multiple people to be on the bus.
Yeah.
We're happy to take one person to point A to point B, and that's fine. We will do that. Ideally, what we want is to happen is sort of what the goal of Extra Mile is that, let's say I want to go to I want to go somewhere.
Right.
It picks me up, and then let's say somebody else dings on their app saying, hey, I want to go somewhere too. And they're on the way, they'll pick them up as well, get them on the bus. It's sort of supposed to be a ride share. It's not just point A to point B. It's supposed to be point A, C to A. It's supposed to kind of pick up other people as well. And so in Middletown, I think actually it does that very well, where we often have groups of students getting together. So we'll have like a group of 7 students come on to go downtown. Great. That's what we want. We want the buses full. We want them used well. So if you have a group party you want to go to, all I'll say is our maximum capacity is between 12 and 14, so you don't get like 25 people going on. But if you have a small group of like 5 people, or guys are going to dinner or something, bring them on over.
Absolutely.
That's the point. So it's not just a one ride person. The more people, the better. It's what it's supposed to be. It's more efficient. It's better for the environment. It's what we want. So definitely group up if you'd like.
An Extra Mile is $1.75.
It's $1.75. That's right. So it's the same exact fare as our normal fixture fare, which we think is more than reasonable. If folks have ever used a Uber or Lyft, you'll know how reasonable $1.75 is. Because you're looking at 10, 15, 20, $30 depending if you can even find a Lyft or an Uber. So it's definitely heavily discounted, but we want to make sure it was affordable for everybody who wanted to use it. So.
And one thing we got to tell people is with Extra Mile, that's cash only. You can't use token transit.
You can use token transit.
Oh, you can?
So it's cash, definitely. But you can also use token transit too.
Okay.
Yep, so token transit will work for the fixed route bus or the Extra Mile bus as well.
Okay.
So for those two, it'll work. And again, so with token transit, it's an online wallet, so you can attach a credit card, debit card. We talked about it last block. And basically you can once you buy a ticket online, through either your credit card, debit card, or whatever other payment, Apple Wallet I think it might have as well. You can then hit activate, show the bus driver the pass. It'll tell you what to do on the app.
Right.
You show it to the bus driver, they say, okay, he's got the pass, come on in. That's it. You just show them the pass and you hop on in. So it's a good way for folks if they don't carry cash or don't want to carry much cash. You can still use the bus pretty well. And in the future, I think one of the things that we also have too is upgrades to potential our buses and things like that. In the future, we're looking to have as well is have more ways to pay on the bus. So in the future, that might be like a credit card reader as well. So maybe you can just tap your credit card to get it on. You might have been, if you've been in Boston or other cities that have maybe more advanced stuff like that. That's something that we're looking to get down in a year or two as well. So it's just to let folks know that that's something we've heard feedback on, and we want to make as many options as possible. One thing I can promise you, as long as Joe's the director and I'm here too, is that we will always have the option for cash.
Yes.
Some systems are going away from cash. We think that's a horrible idea because a lot of our people who don't have a bank account, don't have a credit card account, rely on transportation the most. So we will never not accept cash because it is so important that folks who are who don't have or who are underbanked, who don't have credit cards, can still use the bus.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we want to give as many options as possible. So we're happy to increase the amount of options, but we'll always be taking cash as well.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about bus and terminal technology upgrades.
Sure, absolutely. So that's exciting. So, we know that one of the biggest ways we can try and improve the rider experience is also at the terminal when you're waiting, right? So we know that right now, because we're sort of a rural system, we have some pretty long wait times in a lot of routes, especially in the shorelines. Folks know this, there's long wait times. We're hopeful in the future we can get some funding to increase that. But as of right now, we're where we're at. There's some long wait times, and transfers are incredibly important because if you miss your transfer in these long wait times, it can be a really long wait time. So we want to make sure that we can give as much information to people as possible. And so part of that is through, we're working with the company Passio to install a series of new passenger upgrade information at our terminal, at our Middletown terminal, the Old Saybrook train station stop, for folks who might know that system, as well as the Scranton Gazebo in Madison that connects with the 201 to New Haven. So what we're going to be, I'll start first small. So I'll start with the Scranton Gazebo and the Old Saybrook train station. What we're installing there are these really cool battery-operated, they call them e-signs, e-inks, where it's about maybe the size of this binder, a little bigger actually, and it's a black and white screen, and it'll show real-time information when the buses are coming in. So not schedule information until if the bus is late, if it's on time because we're running ahead, you'll see it right there. So if we're at the Scranton Gazebo, you'll see the 645, the 641, and the 201, the CT Transit 201 to New Haven, and you'll see exactly when it's coming in. So it'll say 5 minutes away, 2 minutes late, so it'll tell you all the information.
Yeah.
You might be, if you've been on in Boston or New York, you might have seen the subway system with the real-time information. Very similar to that, on a much smaller scale, so you can see it. So it'll be very useful for our riders to know when they're getting on and off, when they're coming inbound. In the Middletown terminal, we're having even more. That's sort of our center in Middletown. There are even more upgrades. So currently in the Middletown the bus station, folks who haven't been there, there are these two big, flat screen TVs, which and they show the routes as well and the real information, and those are fine. They get the job done. But we're actually going to be upgrading those to allow again the real-time information and show when the buses are coming in on time.
Right.
And we'll also be adding in our connecting routes as well. So the Route 55, as well as our other connecting routes, so you can see again in real-time information when the buses are coming in. And what my favorite thing is we're adding too is we're adding actually it's about almost 7 feet tall kiosk outside. It'll be a big kiosk with a big screen in the middle that on the top will show our system map that you've seen before. But it'll be live. So it'll be live with the buses. You can see where the bus is in the map.
It'll show where it is.
Exactly. So you can see on the map where it's going.
Right.
And then underneath it, you'll have that same thing where you can see the bus route name, and then the real-time information. Is it going to be 5 minutes late? Is it on time? So I'm really excited about that one. So it's a nice upgrade for us. It kind of fits into the modern age. And the last thing I'll say is we're going to be having two above our bays where the buses pull in Middletown. We'll have two big electric signs again with that real-time information scrolling through. So again, more ways to just show folks that to help give them as much information as they can. This is especially useful for folks who don't have smartphones, who don't have that real access to real-time information.
Right.
So it's again trying to make it accessible to everybody, the same things that people like to enjoy. So
absolutely.
One thing I'll mention too, those are the terminal upgrades. The bus upgrades are also same company. We're also going to be installing automatic voice announcements. So some of the vehicles have this in some of our systems, some of them don't. You might have heard if you're in Boston, something, now approaching Fenway Square. So it's that now approaching XYZ stop. So we'll have that installed in all of our buses as well. So when you're nearing one of your stops, if it's a major stop, it'll announce it audibly. So you'll hear an announcer say, next stop, Old Saybrook Stop and Shop. And then when it gets there, now approaching Old Saybrook Stop and Shop. So it's that kind of cool, modern thing. Yes, that's exciting too. And we're also adding in, this is for more the planning side, so why I like it, is that we're adding in automatic passenger counters. And so those are our sensors above the doors so we can get a good count of who's getting on and off where. So this will not, we don't tell you who is going on, it just tells how many people, a simple count.
A people count.
Which means we can then determine which stops are in need of help, which are our most popular stops. That's very valuable in the future for future planning. If we were to do a route change again, we know what stops are being used the most, which stops aren't being used, how can we improve stops that aren't being used, that kind of thing. So it'll be very valuable information for planning for us, and so we're very hopeful that can continue, and hopefully we get installed soon.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
So let's go back. Let's talk about the name and brand change.
Sure, a little bit more again.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So for folks we talked about in the first block here is that I guess we'll go more in depth with the process and how we got there. So one of the things we did is we looked at, when we knew we wanted to capture, well, I'll go even further back. Before we even talked about a name, we wanted to reach out to several stakeholder groups. We talked to riders, we talked to our board members, we talked to other neighborhood organizations. So we wanted to figure out, what should our new name be, right? Because we're having this combined system, what should it be? And one thing we kept on hearing back from these interviews was, we wanted to convey the local surroundings, the geographical surroundings, and the beauty of our area.
Right.
And so we thought, we ended up coming up with River Valley Transit because it encompasses the river, obviously the Connecticut River as well as the valley. So we thought it was a nice way to kind of give you a geographic reference for where we are, remind folks of the beauty, and I think ultimately ended up with a beautiful design in our buses.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to make sure it conveyed it well. I will say the River Valley Transit, that we did a series of voting on that, and that was by far the choice. We had 4 choices, and that one won out by a lot, so we knew that was the one to go with.
Really?
And then for our logo, which is sort of like the 2 you can see here, sort of the swoops here.
Yep.
That was a little more close. We had a couple different options for the logo, but that one ultimately prevailed, and I like it too. It's nice, and it's a good logo, and I think it conveys it. It sort of has the blue for the river and the green for the valley, and
exactly.
It's sort of the scheme for the colors there. So yeah, we like that a lot.
I actually saw the logo for the first time on the bus a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
When they actually put the stickers on the fare box.
Yes, the new stickers.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, aha.
Yes.
That's what they're gonna.
Yep.
That's what they are now.
Yeah, and I'll say too is that for the next couple months, I want to reiterate again, it's one of those things that I wish we could have all the buses done in time. I wish we could have everything ready to go. And our entire fleet's new and it has all this new treatment and it's ready to go. But
no.
Logistically, it's impossible for us to do because in order to take a bus away for multiple days, we need tons of replacements ready to go. So it just wasn't possible. But again, it'll slowly be there. You'll start to see it more and more, and eventually it'll look a year or 2 from now and it'll all be River Valley everywhere. So it's going to take some time. So we ask folks to be patient,
Now, one thing we didn't talk about in the first block, where is the terminal in Middletown?
Great question. So that's it's a beautiful spot. It's right in the center of downtown Middletown, right in the center.
Okay.
It's right across the street from the city hall, from the court as well. So it's in a great location. Folks can just walk in and out, and it's a beautiful spot. And our garage is in North Main Street. Yeah, home base for me is in the North End, in 91 North Main Street. That's our garage. That's where a lot of the buses come from, and where they start and end their day. So it's also where some of our offices are too. So that's where I spend most of my time.
That's where dispatch is.
Yeah, also where our mechanics working on the buses to keep them up and running.
Okay.
We have a lot of hardworking mechanics who make sure that the buses are up and running. So shout out to Pat and Nick because they do a great job as well, keeping the buses on the road. So, yep. So they do good.
Oh, do they?
They do. They do great work, and they make the most of a little. Because right now in our facility we only have 1 maintenance space, so it's hard for them to keep up with it. Because they should have 2 or 3, but we only have 1. So they do a great job. They do a great job keeping up with that work. Yep.
Now let's talk about the end of free fare and the new fare structure.
Absolutely. So again, the Fare Free program was put in place as sort of a way to boost up ridership after the sort of the pandemic, and sort of a way to increase ridership and get people back on the bus. And it definitely worked. I can say for a fact. Yep. We noticed our ridership rapidly grow. I mean, it was already recovering a little bit from the pandemic. Right. But it was rocket fuel. We just added way more ridership once free fares was implemented. We think it was already going to go up more, but again, that fare free just really increased it, and the state was only allowed to do it for a year. So the FDA regulates how much time you can have for a fare free program, because the federal government also puts a lot of money into transportation. So they're saying, well, why aren't you paying us, basically? Exactly. So it's one of those things where they want to get their money too. So it's back now. Who knows what the future will hold, but we know that for at least the time being, there's a fare, right? And so we're trying to do the best we can with it, which is why we implemented and are going to be implemented soon the low-income and student discount as well, to make sure it's easy for our riders. One thing I'll say too, I want to talk a little bit about the pandemic ridership and how
So absolutely.
One thing we noticed, across the country, but especially in Connecticut, is that ridership for both the bus and the train were very different. So during the pandemic, bus ridership, while definitely lower, actually was not that, it was low, but it wasn't as low as commuter rail.
Right.
Commuter rail tanked because of COVID, and it's still yet to recover. So like the Shoreline East and the Hartford Rail are still kind of trying to get back on their feet. Public transit has actually not only basically gotten back to where it was before, but is now even higher, a little slightly higher. So it's actually encouraging overall to see the increased use of public transportation again for the bus. So it seems to be people are getting back on the bus, and we hope people will continue to do that and check out all our great services.
Absolutely. Well, Brendan, we're about to run out of time, but
before
we do,
yes,
I want to thank you for coming down. And if people want more information on River Valley Transit, where are they going?
They're going to rivervalley.org, rivervalleytransit.org, or estuarytransit.org. Either way, it'll get you there. And please check out the website. I'm going to make one last pitch to please take a look at the proposed route changes. On the webpage, you'll see all the route changes, and you'll see a great place to give your feedback. There'll be a big link there. Take a look. Let us know what you think. Good or bad, let us know, please.
Brendan from River Valley Transit, thanks for some time. We'll see you again soon.
Sounds good, Pete. Thank you.
Absolutely. On behalf of Brendan from River Valley Transit, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next week.